What's up, everybody? Ben Grove here with another Cube League preview. There is another Cube League on the Cube League Discord server firing up this weekend with drafts happening Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So plenty of chances for everybody to get into the action. You can either check it out from our Discord server, which you can find on cubecoca.net, or you can find the tournament information on play.limitless.com. And this month, we are really, as I put in the thumbnail, embracing the suck. We are playing some low power cubing. And this is something that is cool about Cube. A lot of times I talk about just like unique interactions between a lot of like really famous and unique and cool cards. Another thing that Cube can do sometimes is really just like, you get to play with cards that weren't good, and you put them in a space where they can be good. You put them amongst their own kind. So there's cards like this Terraforming Aggron, which came out in Power Keepers, the last EX set, and 4 for 70 would never be doing it. But it's a decent attacker in this cube and a good consistency in Pokemon. And this Alakazam here, there aren't many Alakazam cards out there due to due to some outside reasons, but this one is a really fun one, and it's just a way to flexibly move energy around the board. There's a lot of really cool cards out there that never got their day in the sun, and a low power cube like Tumas's low power cube, it's an awesome space to get to explore some of those. Because this is low power, there's also some just like weird cards that just like they either play really differently than they would in other cubes, or like can just like take on a life of their own that you would never expect. Like Misty's Wrath in this cube. Misty's Wrath is a very powerful card, but in this cube there is a lot of trade-off because every card in your deck is really important. So there are 8 Misty's Wrath that you can draft from, and it's definitely a card that has some power, but it's a big risk in this cube, even bigger than normal. Cards like Retreat A Dodrio, where in a low power cube your every energy attachment is so valuable. This card is really strong. And a card like this, Alolan Grimer, just has a free attack of collect, draw 2 cards. It's got health of 80 HP. It's got a reasonable body that can just sit in the active spot and draw you cards and pressure your opponent to make a move. You would never think that this card could be a good card, but it can be in a cube like this. So I'm gonna go over some of the cards that I think are some of the coolest and strongest, and cards you would never think are really strong, that are gonna really be the big impactful cards in Tumas's low power cube as we draft it this upcoming weekend. So the first card I want to talk about is Slugma from Undaunted, and yeah, we're starting off talking about an evolving Pokemon here, but this Slugma's Pokepower of Active Volcano. Once during your turn, you may discard the top card of your deck. If this card is a fire energy, attach it to Slugma. This is actually basically the only way to accelerate energy on a Pokemon in this cube. In a lot of cubes, you think about cards like Dynamotor, whether it's on Flaffy or Electric, or Metal Link's Bronzong, or Rain Dance, or there are so many ways to just like vomit energy into play. But because of how low power this cube is, this Slugma is like the strongest way to do it, which is very funny. And there's really only one way to really guarantee it. There's an Academy at Night in here. There might be like a Mallow or an Oracle as well, something like that. I'm not sure. I didn't totally check, but Academy at Night's the best way to guarantee it. And so there are like small little combos that are actually like really big in this cube, where pairing Slugma up with Academy at Night, then maybe using Energy Connect Ampharos to move that energy off of Slugma onto what you're actually going to use to attack. And then this Dodrio I brought up again is going to be a way to really just like keep your energy on the board. In a cube like this, your energy attachments are really important. If there's no way to just like cheat some energy into play from like your discard or something, your energy attachment for turn is really important. And a card like Dodrio paired up with Energy Connect can really just like preserve those kinds of things. So a small synergy like this, in most other cubes, it would just be like a small little detail. This Slugma is actually a real powerhouse. And the Magcargo line in here, also, like, there's a lot of attacks that are gonna be based on just having a bunch of energy, and either energy available to discard the Magcargo EX, you can discard extra energy to do more damage, or there's Magcargo that does more damage based on energy attached all over your board. So the Magcargo archetype, which is very strong, it went to the finals the last time this was a Cube League. This Slugma is really the centerpiece, which is a cool thing to say, right? So be on the lookout for this Slugma in the draft, and be on the lookout for Academy of Night. They're one-ofs on each of them, so you really have to be aggressive and snag them when you can. Next up, and this card has gotten a little bit famous in the Discord server. There's an emote based around this Altaria and the supposed war crimes that it commits, but this is a very innocuous looking card that is really, really strong. The Pokebody synergy effect: if Drake Stadium is in play, remove 1 damage counter from Altaria in between turns. Okay, great, sure. When you combine that with the fact that Altaria's got 2 resistances, it resists grass and fighting, and the fact that Drake Stadium also does 10 damage reduction, this Altaria is just kind of really hard to take down. Like if you have a grass or a fighting deck, like it's rough, buddy. This Altaria has some real sticking power, and its attacks are really good too. We're gonna kind of see a little bit of a theme here where 2 for 30 is a really, really strong rate. It's a rate that can just like start to put pressure on in this cube, and in addition to just 2 for 30, it's 2 for 30 with upside on this Altaria. I think 2 really good cards that you can compare with Altaria are just some of your good supporters that will enable it. A supporter like Guzman Hala, where you can get your Drake Stadium, maybe get a Rainbow Energy so you can pay for either of your attacks colored costs, and just a tool to maybe beef up its tankiness for a turn or 2 as well. Can really lay into the tank side. And then Desert Shaman, another supporter, where you shuffle your hand and your opponent shuffles down to 4 as well. And then the surprise is ripping another card out of the hand. So this Altaria can be disruptive, it can be tanky, it can heal, it can put pressure on starting on turn 2 of the game. It's a really well-rounded card and really much spookier than it looks. It's a really cool card. And once again, you're kind of seeing in this cube, there's small synergies that you want to be aggressive and grab, like the Slugma with Academy at Night, Altaria, you got to grab the Drake Stadium to go with it. These kinds of things, when you have them all together, it really ups the power level. All right, moving on. This is another very innocuous looking card that is probably the strongest Pokemon in the cube. Persian here with the Prowl Pokepower. Once during your turn, when you play Persian from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may search your deck for any one card and put it into your hand. And then it also has a Snap Tail attack, which does 30 damage to any Pokemon on your opponent's board that you want. We talked with Altaria about how 2 for 30 was really good. This is 2 for 30 with probably even better upside than Altaria's. The ability to put that 30 wherever you want is also really good. There's also a Ledian that has basically the exact same Pokepower, and another 2 for 30 attack. We're kind of seeing a theme here, and these cards are just really good because in this cube, getting one card for free is just like a really good rate, and the fact that it can attack for a decent amount just like really sweetens the pot. In this cube, the way it's designed purposely, there are some just like really good search cards that you would expect from a cube, like Ultra Ball. There are a ton of Ultra Balls. There are 8 Ultra Balls available in the draft, but the card Ultra Ball really comes at a cost in this cube. The discarding 2 cards is big. There are no Delcatty, Energy Draw, or Porygon 2 backups that you can just like refresh your hand from. There's very little just like onboard Pokemon draw, so the Ultra Ball discarding 2 cards is a real cost. Persian getting not only just like whatever Pokemon you might want, but any card that you want from your deck is a really, really strong draw. And specifically with this Persian, and one of the things that is really important when you play this cube is knowing when to take a prize. And this Persian with its attack basically lets you take a prize whenever you darn well please. If you're just spreading 30 damage around the board, daring your opponent to be the first one to take the prize, because there are a lot of comeback cards and a lot of comeback mechanics, because there's not a lot of good ways to enable expensive attacks. Because we're so short on energy acceleration, like Slugma's really the only thing, we have to find ways to otherwise power up some expensive attacks. And you see this counter patch here, which is a custom card we're going to dig into just in a second. So there's tons of ways to play around being behind, and that's very important in this cube, and this Persian really enables that. So the counter patch card that I was just talking about, you can only play it if you have more prize cards remaining. Attach a basic energy from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon. So it's like a dark patch, but you're playing from behind. And cards like this are really important in powering up expensive attacks. And there are 8 counter patch, I believe, and I think 8 counter catcher, and maybe 8 scramble. There are a ton of comeback cards. So knowing when your moment to go is, and knowing when you're the beatdown, and when you want to be aggressive, and when you want to make your opponent make the move, is really important in this cube. You don't want to, like, for example, I put this Charizard EX here. You don't want to burn down your opponent's active for 200, discard 5 energy, and then they just are able to control the game from there on out because you discarded all your energy off the board. They counter catcher, they scramble, they counter patch, they explode on the next turn, and you got a KO, but at what cost? So there's a lot of that kind of play in this cube that is going to be very important. The low power nature means that the games are going to go long, that there's going to be a lot of turns and just turn attaching and dinking and dunking until you find your spot and you go. So knowing when to use cards like this are going to be very important. At the end of the day, I'm really excited for this cube, if not the least, just for being able to play with some goofy guys that you normally don't get to. When are you ever playing with a Swallow? When are you saying, okay, I've built my Golem deck? There's a lot of really cool Pokemon that don't get to get their moment in the sun unless they're played in cubes that are built specifically around their power level. So it's really cool when like you lose to a really cool Grumpig deck. I don't know. There are a lot of really cool archetypes and cards in here that are just underused and underappreciated cards, and that's part of the beauty about Cube sometimes, is getting to see cards that you might never get to see otherwise. So once again, you can either check this out via Discord link via Cube Koga, or find the play.limitless website for this. But this is a really cool cube to check out, and we're looking forward to drafting this coming weekend. There's drafts on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so plenty of time for anybody to get in on the action and join Cube League. We'll see you next time.